Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on pitfalls to avoid common mistakes in the ISO 27001 and ISO 27701 certification journey. My name is Milma, and I'm the Marketing and Digital Content Specialist here at MSCCB. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. The road to certification can be riddled with challenges and pitfalls. That's why we have invited an expert in information security, compliance, and privacy to share his insights and experiences. Mostafa AlShamy will shed light on the common mistakes organizations make during the certification process and provide valuable guidance on how to navigate these challenges successfully. So whether you're just beginning your certification journey or looking to enhance your existing program, this webinar will provide you with actionable advice and real-world examples in ensuring your organization stays on the path to compliance and data protection excellence. And to make sure we are helping you and informing you as best we can, you can submit your questions that you might have during the webinar in the Q&A chat box below. We will address them during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. In addition, please be informed that this session will be recorded and will be shared on the MSCCB website later on. As I mentioned, today with us is Mostafa AlShamy, the industry expert and ISO management system auditor. I will let him now get started with his presentation. Mostafa?
Thank you, Milma. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you all for attending our webinar. Today, we will be talking about a very important topic many people ask me about, which is what are the common mistakes in the ISO IEC 27001 and ISO IEC 27701, which is ISMS and PIMS certification journey. But first of all, let me introduce myself to you. Okay, after the webinar agenda, we will have just two topics to talk about. The first one will be a brief explanation of certification journey. What is a certification journey? Because many people don't know it. Some people think that it's a journey of 1 year. Some people considering it's just the audit. No, it's a journey, and the audit is one stop in this journey. It's not the whole journey. Okay, so we have other parts in this journey. And the second point will be pitfalls to avoid, which is common mistakes. And why do we talk about common mistakes? This is a very great question at the beginning. Why do we organize a webinar like this? For MSCCB, they don't deliver training. They don't have any consultancy services to provide. So why do we organize a webinar like this? Because we are trying all the time to tell our customers and to convince them that we are not, as auditors, we are not police detectors, we are not inspectors. We are here to support you in this journey. We are here to tell you that you have a quality inside your organization represented by management system like the ISMS and the PIMS, for example, which is the scope of our webinar today. So this is why we would like others to know what are the common mistakes, what are the pitfalls they should avoid to have an easy and fruitful certification journey. And the third part of our agenda today will be at the end, which is a small session for questions and answers in case you have any. Okay, for me, I am Mostafa AlShamy. I have more than 20 years of experience in relation to GRC and respective fields like the SMS, ISMS, PIMS, PCMS, risk management, data governance, and management. I can say that since 2017, since that time, I have audited more than 50 organizations. And for these organizations, they can range from small organizations up to central banks in huge countries and some international organizations. For example, I have an audit which is cover 5 continents, so it takes something like 4 weeks, 1 month traveling among continents to do it. So this is why we are trying to share this experience to help others. This is my email and my LinkedIn profile in case anyone would like to have a question, maybe after the webinar, maybe later. We are open and it will be our pleasure to support you. So let's start with a brief explanation of the certification journey. Okay. Before talking about the journey, let's talk about what we need to know prior to certification journey. Before starting, what we need to do. First of all, we need to obtain management support. And take care, when we are talking about management support, we are not talking about management support to have budgets, to have people, to have a certification body like MSECB to conduct the audit at the end or at the middle of the journey. No, it's about the full life cycle. Because if you don't have top management commitment, you will not have approved strategy, policies, procedures. No one will listen to you. No one will comply with the regulations. No one will follow the procedures you have. So you need top management commitment. And believe me, it's during the whole life cycle. It's not in any stage. No, it's throughout the life cycle. After having the commitment, you should define the scope. And for scope, it's very important to every management system we can imagine. And especially when we are talking about PIMS, because I have a lot of questions from many people about what is the scope of the privacy information management system. We have a lot of information which is considered personal information. We have employees, we have customers, we have suppliers, we have customers across borders, we have customers in Europe, we are located in Europe, and many situations and the questions covering these situations. So take care about the scope. Because in some cases, the scope of the management system will not be for the audit only. It will be for a management system that will have 2 points. The first one is ISO standard, like the 27701. And the second point will be regulation, something like GDPR or NCA in Saudi Arabia and so on in many other countries right now, and SADAYA and DMO. So we have a lot of regulations now talking about personal information. So take care, because maybe your management system will not be only for the ISO, it will be for the ISO certification and for other regulations, which can be in many cases local, related to your country, or international, like the GDPR. So the scope is very important at the beginning. Okay. After having the top management commitment and defining a clear and concise scope, you will go for requirements. And whenever we are talking about requirements, we need to have very clearly defined responsibilities. Because at the beginning, if we don't know the roles and responsibilities, believe me, you will not reach to the end. You will stop in the middle, something in the middle. Okay. Number 4, which is developing training and awareness program, even before starting the implementation stage of a management system. Why? Because if you don't have people with enough knowledge, with enough competence, with enough awareness based on their role, maybe they are users, they are IT users, working in HR, procurement, project management, whatever. Even these people need awareness. Some other people need competence, technical skills. Those who will manage technical solutions, okay, those who will manage outsourced services and deal with suppliers, and these suppliers have our information and the personal information of our employees and our customers. So these people need more detailed and more technical training to gain competence. So we need all these people to have this level of knowledge before developing the management system itself. Why? Because if they don't have this required level, it will take a lot of you to develop the management system, because whenever you are dealing with them in regard to any part of the management system, they don't know it. They don't understand what you are talking about. So you will try to explain to them every now and then. But if you start at the beginning, training and awareness program, it will be great for them and for you, because you will save a lot of time and a lot of effort later. Maybe having this at the beginning will increase their commitment, will reduce their change resistance, which we all suffer from in any project, by the way. And after this, we will go for the risk management and perform risk assessment and start the risk treatment journey. This is a whole journey itself. So why do we need to have risk assessment at the beginning? Risk assessment, even if we are talking from ISO perspective, we have it in clause 6 and clause 8 and something like that. So it's not at the beginning. Yes, I know. But if you remember, what is the difference between the ISO 27001, not the last version, which is 2022? No, I'm talking about what is the difference between the 2013 and the earlier version. It was that the 2013 version based on risk assessment. So before defining the scope to be a final scope, we need to make a risk assessment. Does this mean that whenever we have frequent risk assessment, this will change our scope of the management system? Yes. Yes. The scope of our management system is dynamic over time, which means that, let's say that currently we have specific services, specific type of personal information related to the services we are providing right now in October. What about if in next March, after 5 or 4 months from now, we have different type of services, new services, we provide new services at that time, and these services collect some other type of personal information, something like personal information related to credit information, related to health information, related to education. Currently, we don't have these types, but we will have them in the future. So whenever we have risk assessment at that time, okay, if we have some risks related to the new services, so the scope of the management system we are talking about will change at that time. So remember this all the time, that our two management systems we are talking about today are based on risk assessment output and their scope as a management system. After that, after the assessment of the risks, you will go for the management system implementation, covering all the scope requirements stated by the ISO standard. And take care, now we have a new version of the ISO 27001, and this one has, we can say, the same requirements in clauses from 4 to 10, with some changes in some words, but they are the same meaning. But we have a lot of changes in Annex A. So instead of having 114 requirements, now they are squeezed to be just 82, which means that we have some 2 controls, in some cases 3, and in others 4 controls combined in 1. I like this so much as an auditor, because now we don't have any repetition, we don't have any duplication. We have single requirement mentioned just one time. And we have 11 new requirements. So the total number right now, they are 93 instead of the 140. So you need to cover all these requirements. They are not a must, they are optional, because as you know, we have what's called a statement of applicability based again on the output of the risk assessment, which means maybe in these 93 requirements, maybe I will choose 90 for my organization, 85 for my organization, based on the risk I have. And by the way, the statement of applicability and the number of included requirements will change over time, based again on the output of the risk assessment. So take care. Some people believe that whenever we or they develop a management system, now they are ready for the certification, for the audit. No, I'm telling them, no, it's not at this time. You still have some time to prove that the management system is working. You have enough evidence, which means Whenever we as auditors audit a management system, we don't look only to documents, policies, strategies, processes, procedures. No, we need other types of evidence. We have 5 types of evidence. Documented information, all those I mentioned, is the first one. We have to interview some key stakeholders. We need to have some technical solutions evidence. We need to have sampling. We need to have analysis. So we have 5 types of techniques to use during the audit. So don't finish the development of your management system and say, let's go for audit. No, you still need some time to have some evidence, some tickets, some requests for changes, some improvement, some measurement for the KPIs. And of course, you need an internal audit, at least one internal audit and one management review after this internal audit, at least one and one. So you need to operate the management system for something like at least 3 months if you are in a hurry. Okay. At the end of this stage, you need to conduct internal audit, at least one, as I said, and to perform a single management review meeting to discuss the outputs of this internal audit and the status of the management system totally, so that you will be ready for the certification audit. So we have finished the prior certification part of the journey. Now this is the certification part of the journey based on the methodology we have in ECB. First of all, our engagement will be 3 years. As I said at the beginning, that some people believe that the certification is just in the first year, and if I have the certificate, that's enough. I have the certificate, even if the certificate is valid for 3 years, I just have to have one audit at the beginning. No, you need to have 4 audits during the 3 years term, 3 years engagement, 3 years relationship. Okay, so at the beginning, some organizations, let me have my laser pointer so that you know where I am talking about. The first part is the pre-audit. At that time, okay, maybe after 3 months of operating the management system, you would like to make sure, is my management system now ready enough for the certification? Or maybe we have some non-conformities. So you can have this, okay, which is pre-audit. In some cases, it's called opinion audit, again, to know the opinion of the auditors about, is your management system qualified and competent enough to pass the certification audit or not? And if you are ready, and this is optional, by the way, but some people like it so much and it's useful for them. After that, we go for the audit plan, and we'll have the first year audits, which we have 2 audits in it. The first one will be stage 1. Stage 1, it's about an introduction, so that we as auditors understand your organization, what is the context, what is the purpose of the organization, the strategy, the objectives, what are the provided services and the products, what are the risks, how do you develop your document management system, do you have something like electronic sorry, do you have something like electronic documents? Do you have printed policies? Is it signed by handwriting? Is it electronic signature? Do you have a document called manual? And in this manual, you have all the requirements of the management system, or you have many separate policies and the procedures. So we get to know your management system. This is in stage 1, and we need to check if you have the internal audit and the management review meeting conducted at least once for each one of them, so that we can say that you are ready for stage 2. In case we discover anything which is not good in your management system in stage 1, we will raise a flag to tell you that you need to correct this before going to stage 2. So we are saving you. Instead of going to stage 2 and not having the certificate at the end, it will be disappointing. I know it so much, and we don't like it as auditors too, by the way. It's not me. I'm talking about me as Mostafa AlShamy. I know that almost every auditor doesn't like to have unfavorable recommendation at the end of stage 2. It's disappointing for everyone, not only the auditee. So this is why we have a stage 1, to tell you about anything which we don't like to have in stage 2. So you need to correct between stage 1 and stage 2. And stage 2 stands for actual audit. We will have a lot of meetings, we will check technical systems, we will have samples, we will have our analysis, in addition to documents which we already have seen, have checked during stage 1. At the end of stage 2, there will be 4 types of recommendation. What do you mean by recommendation, by the way? For me, as an auditor, I don't give you the certificate. I don't decide if you deserve to take a certificate or not. No, for me, I do just 2 things. The first one is to conduct the audit, okay? And the second thing is to provide recommendations. And we have 4 types of recommendation. The first one, which is I recommend the certification of your organization based on the provided evidence and the quality I have found, that not only in documented information, as we agreed, in people, in solution, in the behavior of everyone. Okay, and this will be the best case scenario, as we can say. The second one will be if we have some non-conformities, that I recommend the certification of your management system, organization system, but at the same time, there will be some corrective actions from your side, and I will have an online meeting with you to check if they are okay, approved, accepted for me. Then I will complete my recommendation to take the certificate, but I will not give you the certificate. It's not me. The third one is I recommend certification, but there will be another visit after you make corrective actions for the major non-conformities I have found in your management system. And the last one, and the one I don't like, which is unfavorable recommendation. I can't recommend your management system for certification. This is what I said would be a disappointment for everyone, and everyone doesn't like to have it. After this, you will have the certificate. It will be valid for 3 years with one condition, which is you will have another audit, which is called the first surveillance audit in the second year, after not more than 12 months from this one, and another one which is called the second surveillance audit in the third year before 24 months from the first one. So you must have these 4 audits during the certification journey. Okay, so let's move to the part we will have after the certification. Okay, this is post-certification, and unfortunately, I have faced this many times before, that I have some customers who have taken this certificate and they believe that this is the end. It was the last mile in our journey. No, this is the beginning, by the way. So you need to have continual improvement. Why? Because starting from the first and the second surveillance, I will come to you and I will ask you about what is the difference. What does this mean? You have already taken the certificate. So what you have done in the last 11 or 11 and a half months, you should have some improvement. Okay, you should not only operate the management system. No, you need to have improvement, because now you have more maturity. Now you are more acquainted with the management system. At the last year, it was your first audit, and the system was new at that time. So it was new to you, but now you are more acquainted with this. You have more than 1 year now experience in this management system. Okay, we will ask about management system objectives and KPIs, continual improvement, and measurements, which means you need to change your objectives. Can we do it? Yes, because objectives, we have 2 types of objectives. Some of them is dynamic. We will have all the time something like dealing with risk, something like increasing awareness, something like transferring knowledge. This you will have all the time. But maybe you can have an objective, something like we will develop a management system. We will have an ISO certificate. This as an objective, this is one-time objective. So when you develop this management system, and when you get the certificate, you can't keep these two objectives. Why? Because they are not recurring, and you have already 100% achieved them. So you need to change them. You need to have fresh objectives related to your scenario, your context right now. Internal audit, as we said, it should be at least once annually, followed by a management review. By the way, this doesn't mean that we can't make a management review at any time. You can do it at any time. Relate to internal audit or not, which means we can have it even before internal audit. Yes, I recommend it. So if you have something like internal audit once per year, you can have management review 2 or 3 or 4 times per year. I recommend it to check the suitability and adequacy of the management system. Okay, all the time you will have continuous awareness and training, because believe me, we are talking about information security and privacy. Even right now, when we are talking, risks or changes, attacks or changes. Okay, we have changes all the time in these, they are changing. So we need to have training and awareness all the time. Okay, at the same time, as I said before, that during the journey, you will have changes related to new services, retired services, new products. You are working now or serving customers in other countries with other regulations, so on. So the management system is totally like your organization. It's dynamic, it's not static. And this is why we need to have a clear change management process and methodology to follow, and it should be documented. Take care. So this is my explanation for the journey itself. But what about pitfalls we should avoid, common mistakes? Okay, so prior to certification journey, we should avoid some of these, if not all of them, and I recommend all of them. The first one is the right scope. If you have to build a management system and to get certified, you need to define the right scope. A scope doesn't mean the provided services or the departments that are participating in our org structure. No, we need to have locations. We need to mention the disaster recovery site if we have one or more, even if it's outsourced, take care, it should be mentioned. Okay, branches, services, functions, provided services, provided products, countries we are working in, countries we don't like to include in our scope if we have a huge enterprise. Which type of personal data to cover in relation to the PIMS? This is one of the most frequent questions I ever get about what is personal information? What is the definition of personal information? Which type of personal information we should have? And believe it or not, I have this question sometimes from people working in banks. In banks, they ask this question. Yes, they ask it because this is a very tricky, it's not simple question, by the way, it's very tricky questions. For personal information, it's any information which is directly or indirectly lead us to know its owner. And this will be for employees, customers, or both. So take care, because even the personal data of your own employees should be protected. So you need to have a very clear definition of what is personal data you have. Do you have critical personal data in relation to genetics, in relation to health, in relation to banking information, or what? Criminal information, or what? Do you have the information of people below 14 years? In some other countries, it's 16 years, 8 years, which is children, or those who are like children, those who have some disabilities, mental disabilities. So take care in which countries you are working, what are the regulations in these countries. And in some scenarios, I have seen a lot of them, you are located in 1 or 2 countries, but you are providing services to people in many countries, and in many of them, you have different types of regulations. So take care and try to have a list of these countries, a list of applicable regulations and their penalties. Because in some countries, penalties are reaching to millions or more, like what we have in GDR of penalties. And in some other countries, like in Saudi Arabia, it can reach to imprisonment. You can go to jail. So take care. Personal data lifecycle, which is one of the most common mistake. Everyone falls in it. Which when we care about personal information, we are caring about the database we are storing the personal information in, the application that processes this information, something like this, something very naive. It's not like this. You should take care. You should manage the whole life cycle, starting from collecting personal information. And what are the regulations for collecting, processing, storing, and even, and take care about it, disposing on and getting rid of this information? How can we do it? Who can see it? Okay, do we have any suppliers, any outsourcing suppliers? Do we host our, not our means ours means ours as employees and the customers too. Personal information on a cloud. Is this cloud in the same country? Because some regulations saying that if you will use cloud service providers, they should be within the same country. So take care. So we are talking about the whole life cycle and all those who can see or process or delete or maintain or backup or restore personal data. Consent and announcement. And I have some customers who have millions of customers. I can say they are banks or so. And whenever the regulations of personal information appeared, they were asking, how can I take consent from millions of customers? How can I reach them? How can I take their approval for having their personal information? And what about if I have a percentage of these people saying, no, we will not give you the consent? It's a dilemma, I know, but it's a must right now. And by law, if they don't provide you with the needed information, you can inform them that I will not be able to provide you with specific services. Let's have an example, something like if I am a bank and I have a customer who would like to open an account, a saving account, and would not like to give me as a bank a consent. How can I have a saving account for someone which I don't know? This can be related to money laundering, okay? Something like this. So by law, I must know your personal information, but take care, not all your personal information. And I will not use them for marketing or so. I will not sell this information to some marketing agencies. So take care. So think about the consent. Think about announcements. How can I update them about anything related to their personal information? And what about announcements to regulators about breaches, about attacks? So you need to have a very good defined process for this. Incidents and breaches. How will you manage these? How will you deal with a breach or an incident? When shall you contact the owners of this personal data? When shall we contact the regulators? Shall we go and have a public announcement or not? It will impact them badly. You should have answers to all these questions and more. Okay, I have also a pitfall. Many people don't know how to deal with it, which is the difference between competence and awareness. I have talked about it before in this session, which is awareness. It's about changing people behavior. Something like whenever you go to have a break or to have a call, a phone call, please lock your screen. So whenever someone is going near to your laptop or desktop, he can't see what is going on and you are not there. So it's something simple. Don't share your password. Don't have your password on a sticky note on your screen, something like this. So we are changing people behavior. This is awareness for users, okay, but not for technical guys. For technical guys, we need competence, which is technical skills. This is about the level of awareness, okay? But some people are saying, we have conducted awareness sessions. No, it's not enough for me as an auditor, because the awareness sessions are for end users. But what about the information and cybersecurity guys? Okay, risks and opportunities. I can say that something like 95% of people don't know how to deal with them. 100% of people are doing risk assessment and risk treatment, and they forget the opportunity. I have something like 5% of people know what is opportunities and how can they make an assessment for opportunities and handling opportunities. So take care. Starting from 2012, any ISO standard released by the ISO organization has risks and opportunities. It's not only risks, it's risks and opportunities. So please include them both in your risk management methodology or framework or process, whatever you call it. So try to have some opportunities in your risk register. Not just for the audit. No, I'm not talking about having the certificate. I'm talking about having a quality management system in information security or personal information. Okay, document management system. So many people has a lot of documents, a lot of processes, policies, procedures, and as you know, call it whatever you like. And the validity of these documents in some cases is something like 2 years or 3 years. For me as an auditor, which is good. I don't have a comment. 3 years, 2 years, it's okay. It's up to you. It's up to your organization and how fast it changes. Is it dynamic or is it somehow static organization? But many people forget about the review. They are saying that the documents of this management system is valid for 3 years and we will review it once annually or when there is a big change or an incident. It's a very common sentence I read. Okay, but what about the review? Many organizations forget to do the review, and this will lead to a lot of non-conformities. So take care. If you said that it's valid for 3 years and I will review it annually, so please review it annually. Don't try something and don't follow. Internal audit. I have a lot of issues with internal audit because many organizations conduct the internal audit by the same department. I have in some scenarios, the internal audit department is under the IT department and it's supporting the IT and the information, cybersecurity, and the privacy. How this could be? It's a clear word. Okay, is it segregation of duties? No, it's conflict of interest. A clear conflict of interest. You are auditing the same department and you send the audit report to your manager, which is the manager of this audited department. It's a conflict of interest. No, internal audit should be separated from the organizational structure and it should report not to the CIO or CEO. It should report to the board, which is above the CEO himself or herself, to be neutral enough to have powerful decisions to make audit. Okay, so take care who should conduct the audit and when we sit at least once annually. Okay, and what are the criteria? Because in many cases, I have found many people conducting audits on a functional basis, which is what is your job description? You are doing 1, 2, 3. So let me see how you are doing 1, 2, 3. So it's not related to the requirements of regulations or requirements of ISO standards. No, we need the internal audit to cover these. And if you don't have competent auditors, if you don't have neutral internal audit department, if you don't have it at all as a department in some organizations, I have seen this scenario, maybe you can have contracted internal audit, which is internal audit conducted by a service provider, an external service provider who has certified auditors who can come and do this for you. It's some type of outsourcing, but never do it for you. Management review, we said that it should be at least once annually, and unfortunately, in many cases, people don't do it. And for this, in the first or second surveillance audit, maybe they will have a major non-conformity, which can lead to withdrawal of certificates. So take care. Take care, you must have. What about pitfalls to avoid after having the certification? Take care, because the certificate is valid for 3 years. And during these 3 years, as I said before, you will have 4 audits. If you have the certificate, this means that you have passed 2 audits of the 4, and you will have 2 more audits to go through. Okay, so the first one is take care about the scope. Which scope? We have covered it before. Yes, but this is in the past, and your organization now is bigger. You have more shareholders. You have emerged or entered 1 or 2 markets. You have provided 3 services, new services since the last year. The number of customers increased, and so on. So take care, because your scope is changing. Okay, I think that, sorry, it was the same slide. I noticed this. It was the same slide, but it's not posted. It's fine. This is the one I was talking about, which is post-certification journey. Okay, first of all, if you announce the certification improperly, what does this mean? If you have the certificate, we tell you that you are not allowed to say, I have a certified product or a certified service. So what do I have? What you have is a certificate for a management system. It's not for a specific product or service, so don't announce it. You have it for a management system. Okay, misunderstanding certification for regulatory compliance, which means if you have a certificate of a specific ISO, like the 27001 or 27701, this doesn't mean that you by default comply with GDPR or NDMO, NCA, whatever. No, requirements of regulations are somehow different from requirements of ISO standards. So if you have a certificate for a specific ISO standard, this doesn't mean that you are in shape, you are totally compliant with a specific regulation. No, take care. Neglecting MS regular maintenance activities. We said that a management system is a dynamic system. So take care, and especially in relation to documented information, review and update. Okay, so based on the validity, the review, and what about, we have some common scenarios like, with every review, shall we increase the version of the document? No, because if you review it and it's still valid, we will use it as it is. So why should you increase the version? In some cases, I can find some documents with version 12 and 13, although the management system is just 2 years old. So how can this happen? If you just review it, don't change the version number. But if there is any type of change, you can increase the version number. whether incrementally or whole, based on the type and size of document. So take care. Lacking management system continuous improvement. Some people say we have celebrated the certification and we don't need to make any more effort. We will not invest more any type of money, any type of training, any type of new solutions. So in this case, I'm sure that the certificate will be withdrawn from you, and now you are more vulnerable. You can have more successful attacks against you. So take care. Because when we are talking about information security or personal information, you need to be ready all the time. And to be ready, having a management system like what we are talking about, based on a lot of requirements, like these two ISO standards and a lot of regulations which are ready now in the market, this will make you so much ready. So if you neglect these, you are vulnerable. Neglecting last audit non-conformities and corrective actions. In some cases, we find non-conformities. This is normal. It's not an issue for us, and you can correct them. And we can continue the audit process and provide you the certificate at the end. It's normal. It's not an issue to have a non-conformity. And even I'm telling all the auditees at the beginning that don't worry. We can have non-conformities discovered, and it's your role to correct them. So don't panic whenever we discover a one. And you can come and discuss it with me. Maybe I have a different point of view. Maybe you can convince me, or I convince you. But at the end of the day, we should have a clear and agreed on decision from both of us. So some organizations have some non-conformities in the first tier of the certification audit. And when they correct them, they do the correction just for the certification, not for the management system itself. And we discover it in the following year, in the following audit. Because if the corrective action is not a true one, if it's, I can't say it's fake, but it's a good one, but not very good one. So after some time, it will fall back, which means in the next year audit, we discover that the corrective action is not 100% powerful. So take care, because in any audit, we look to the last year's audit report and search for non-conformities. And whenever we have one or more non-conformity in this audit, in this year's audit, we ask about them, even if they are not within our criteria. So if I have a non-conformity includes something like a 5.2 last year, and this year I don't have clause 5 within my criteria, I will audit clause number 4, number 7, and so, but I don't have 5. But I will ask you about what is the status of the corrective action about 5.2 from last year. So take care, because it should be genuine corrective action. Some people forget about the dates of the audit. So this is why at the beginning of the first year certification, we are telling them that the first surveillance should be before 12 months from now, and the second surveillance should be before 24 months from now. What about if they decide to take something like a recertification? It should be before 36 months, so that you will have a recertification for the same certificate, and the first certificate will not be withdrawn from you. So if you don't like to have a new certificate, the old one will not be valid after 36 months. So take care. If you need to have continual certification, you should do the recertification audit before the end of the term, which is 3 years. I think that I have finished the points I would like to talk with you about. And in case you have any questions, I would be happy to to answer one or more.
Thank you, Mostafa. Now it's time to answer questions that we received from attendees. The first one says, can you provide examples of common misconceptions about ISO 27001 and ISO 27701 certification that organizations should be aware of?
Yeah, some people think that whenever they are trying to implement and certify BIMS, that it's based on the 27001, and it's a prerequisite actually, but the difference or the change will be something small. We will have some policies, some procedures, and we can have the second certificate, which is the ISO 27701. No, there is a huge difference between these two management systems. It's not an update. It's not another version. No, it's totally different management system. And to apply for certification for the PIMS, first you should have certification in ISMS. And the second one, which is the PIMS, has a lot of totally different requirements because it concentrates 100% on the personal information and they take care. I haven't mentioned it, but it is the time to say it. Whether you are a data processor or controller. And in many cases, your organization can play the two roles at the same time, to be a controller and a processor. So we have specific requirements for this type and specific requirements for the other one. And you will, in some cases, you can take both requires if you play the two roles. So take care, there is a huge difference between both of them. So don't consider them as the same with some changes. No, there is a huge difference.
Okay, thank you. The second question is, how do you recommend organizations balance the need for security and privacy compliance with other business objectives and priorities?
I think this is a great question. I think that in the last 1 or 2 decades, we must consider information and personal information security as one of our objectives as an organization, because currently wars are not using physical armies, okay, and physical tools for killing others. No, they are not using this, guns and tanks and so. No, we have now cyber attacks, and it's not on personal basis, it's on country basis. So take care. Information security and the personal information security, they should be one of your main objectives. And we have seen a lot of organizations have suffered, and many of them have closed after going through a crisis related to a leakage. And I don't need to mention names for privacy, of course, but we have a lot of scenarios with big names worldwide.
Thank you. And as for the last questions, are there any specific tools, technologies, or best practices that you recommend for streamlining the certification process and avoiding common pitfalls?
Which is a common question, but for me, I always answer with there is no specific tool. So, for example, if we are talking about anti-malware, which is the antivirus, I can't recommend a specific antivirus. You can use whatever you like for firewalls, for web solution, for SIM solution. No, there is no specific solution or tool. What we need is to describe what we are doing through documented information, and for the technical implementation, choose what best suits your organization, its size, the type of provided services, the criticality of the information or the personal information your organization has, and so on. So choose the software or solutions that suit your needs. But there is nothing that one fits all or one best case scenario option. No, we don't have it.
Okay, thank you very much. Due to time limitations, we will answer the other questions via email and include the same ones on our website together with the recorded webinar. In case you have anything else to add, Mostafa, feel free to go before we conclude this.
Okay, at the end of this great webinar, I would like to thank MES ECB and all its family members, especially Melma and Vita. And don't forget that MES ECB is one of the leading certification bodies worldwide. And as you can see in this slide, these are the numbers we have, okay, until now, and they are changed. For auditors, for example, we have more than 600 auditors worldwide, and you can read the numbers. We provide management system audits in many management systems based on ISO standards, quality, information security, service management, business continuity, health and safety, and many others. And at the same time, we have also the CSA star, even for cloud service provider, or those who would like to prove that they have good quality in their internal cloud services, private service cloud internally. And at the end, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mostafa. It was a pleasure having you. So this is all we have got for you here today. We appreciate you signing in. Check out our MSCCB LinkedIn and Facebook accounts to get information about our next webinar. We'll see you next time. Thank you.